You're welcome back. It's still TV3 New Day. It's time now for the newspaper review. Unfortunately, I don't have the papers here. We cannot go through the headlines. But of course, I'm sure that for those of you who've been following the news, you have an idea what is being discussed. One of them is still the issue of the robbery incident at Adedenkpo in Jamestown. And that was when a constable lost his life, and also another woman who was in her shop was hit with what we believe was a stray bullet. And also, there have been conversations around that the IGP has been speaking. He says we're not in heaven. It's only in heaven that there's no crime. But even developed countries like the US and Europe, well, there's still crime that takes place there. And so really, we're doing our very best to ensure that we're protected. Now, the Interior Minister has been speaking as well yesterday in an exclusive interview with Jifa, senior colleague here at Media General. He indicated that the police are inadequately resourced. In actual fact, we have only 5,000 bulletproof vests as against over 40,000 police personnel. And that's very worrying because during his vetting, he had indicated that there was a plan to phase out the military, and that's because the police are competent, adequately motivated, and resourced. So he said, we do not need the army. But this was in February 2021 during his vetting. And then a few months down the line, he also says that, well, we have only 5,000 vests, that's against 40,000 police personnel. Let's take a look at that interview, just that excerpt briefly, and I'll introduce you to my guests.
The matter of police being on contract is as old as the police. And at my vetting, I did make it quite clear that we consider this as transition and we are going to deal with it. We are not going to sack them. We are going to let them go on retirement. And I did give the assurance, yes, my president is very clear that there should be a chance for the younger ones to come up. What has been the challenge is that they did not recruit sufficient people over the years. When we came in, we've had to train police officers and upgrade them to officer level, to ASP. And again, Jifa, let me tell you, when we came, there were no promotions, they didn't exist. We had to deal with the backlog of promotions. Agalga knows, my brother Agalga knows, that they left many of the police officers several years in the particular position because at the time their excuse was they didn't have the money to pay. The president said, no way, go and make sure that all backlog promotions are effected. Asking that they be given the recording of the CCTV, and there was resistance from the owner. I want to use this video to appeal to him to cooperate and to appeal to all those persons who were in the vicinity to assist the police with whatever descriptions or whatever information that they have to enable us to track them. Yes, 191 is free. We want that information. And Jifa, I mean it. The president is not satisfied when there is a loss of life and he doesn't get results. I know what he does. What is happening here? How long can we get this thing? It's unacceptable. And so, I'm sorry I have to pass the heat on to all those concerned, and Ghanaians must rest assured that we are not going to take the matters lightly.
Well, that's the Interior. Okay, well, that's Interior Minister Honorable Ambrose Derry, and he was speaking to Jifa on First Take right here on TV3 and also on 3 News 92.7. And so joining me in the studio this morning, I have Salam Mustafa. He's the Director of Programs at the Office of the Vice President. Good morning. It's good to see you in the studios. I hope you're well.
Yeah, very, very well. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, we're worried about, happenings around the country. Security is a big problem now, and we're not sure who's next.
We'll be fine.
What government is doing to further protect us. We'll be fine, you're sure?
Well,
also, let me also introduce Dr. Clement Apak. He is the MP for Bulsa South and also the Deputy Ranking Member of the Education Committee in Parliament. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Bella. Soluna
Lalong, yes.
Kubasa. Very well.
Now I'm getting it, yes.
Yes, you are doing very well.
Thank you very much. I'm learning.
Well. But the people in Bulsa would send messages to commend you.
Good morning to everyone in Bulsa, by the way. Salam says that we will be fine. I don't know if you're sure that's actually going to happen.
Well, I don't think that is the mood among the general population, largely because it is not a one-off event. I believe the reason why this has captured national attention is because of the manner in which it was done. and the fact that a serving police officer, a young police officer, lost his life, a bystander also lost her life in broad daylight. But I mean, I can chronicle several instances to members of the general public. Is on the ascendancy. The rampancy of, these acts of violent crime is giving citizens reason to worry. Maybe where he is, I've worked there before, at the presidency. So you feel secure, naturally. But if you are not there, the story is different.
Yeah, indeed. And that's what the problem is. And Salam, I'm bringing you in here because, again, the Interior Minister disclosed, and which is something we've known anyway, because as of 2019, August, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, had tweeted that week they had delivered, well, he said 4,500 bulletproof vests have been delivered to the police service to help stem these unfortunate incidents. Now, just after he put out this tweet in August 2019, in December, there was a police who was killed. And he was shot in the head. It was a bullion van attack, same style, and he was shot in the head. And even, in fact, a few days after, there was also another attack where a BNI officer was also killed. That's not a robbery attack, by the way, but at least we still know that there were police officers and security officials who had been killed. And so if we're being told that 4,500 bulletproof vests had been provided at that time, and even after that, we saw that people had been killed, and these are security officers, then it's cause to worry. We had to wait up until this time to talk about it again, that we have only 5,000 bulletproof vests as against 40,000 security personnel after another police officer has died?
So, Bella, good morning to you and your viewers. Good morning to my senior brother, Clementa Park, Honorable. So I think we are all worried as a nation, and it is in the right direction, that if there are acts of crime, violence, we naturally get apprehensive. But it is not to say that it is completely out of hand and out of control. I say that when these isolated cases happen, we have to find a way to nip it in the bud. As you know, crime is very ubiquitous. And as population also grows, crime rate would increase, okay? And Ghana, our population keeps growing. I'm sure by the time we are done with the 2021 census, we might be surprised as to the total number that we are in the country today. So it reasons that we will continue to recruit more security officers, police, which I think we do on yearly basis. So even this year, if we have to provide 5,000 bulletproof vests, okay, there will be a shortfall because you would have started some recruitment processes for personnel and they would not be covered. So these things, we say all the time that we keep retooling, okay, and adding logistics to them. And it has been solved all previous governments, okay? And this government has also continued. Look at the amount of vehicles we have provided for police, other logistics, and we are becoming more sophisticated, so we have to invest more into technology, okay, which the police is also beginning to do, adding GPS and so on and so forth to be able to get to exact locations as to where crime, trying to find a one-purpose line where all crime, or if you like, emergencies to security can be channeled to. All of these things are improvement.
But at this point, what we needed was a bulletproof vest and a helmet for the police officer. And so really a vehicle cannot save that police officer, even if you have provided a fleet of them to the Ghana Police Service.
Unfortunately, I think you are acting on an assumption. None of us were there and can actually tell the situation, whether a bulletproof vest could save the person or a helmet or so. What I don't know. I watch a lot of crime stuff. I like issues of security, and I do quite a lot of research on security. The 2019, there is a movie called Den of Thieves. I don't know if you've seen that. Did you see the brazen nature, the violent nature? And you would have noticed, if you watch that movie, that the officers were not in bulletproof because they believed in the in the armory of the vehicle, that the armory could not be breached. But unfortunately, in the case of the
But that's a movie.
it was
It
breached.
would be fiction, by the way.
No. These things are based on research.
But
Yes, I can
but
give
they
you a
still
lot
sometimes
of documentaries
exaggerate.
to
Let's
go and follow.
accept that it was a movie.
Yes, I can give you a lot of documentaries to go and follow on crime. Okay? The problem was the vehicle. Because this was just a pickup truck. No reinforcement, nothing.
Are you talking about the movie or what actually
No,
happened in
this one.
And you're saying the problem was the vehicle,
The problem was the vehicle.
and not the fact
Okay.
that the police officer also didn't have the vest and the helmet, because even
It
if the
could
vehicle
help,
was a problem
but I'm saying
and he was
that-
wearing a helmet and a vest, he could have been saved.
That's why I referred you to Den of Thieves. Even with that sophistication, the criminals overpowered. You see, the firepower sometimes criminals come with is heavy. And I'm sure, within the circumstance at Adedimpo, those guys wouldn't have had the firepower to overpower a proper bullion vehicle. And this officer would have been secured. You know what hurts me about this particular one? A very young man, a very young officer, 26 years. That's what hurts me. A very young man who was just about to start life, and it cut short without any reason. That's what hurts. And that's why I think that we should all be dispassionate on this matter. The banks, cash in transit companies who cut this money, should do the proper thing. Find the appropriate vehicle to cut, money. And of course, it does not preclude tooling the police well, giving them the necessary equipment and logistics to work. It does not at all. And I'm sure government will continue to do so.
But your boss had said it, and this was at the funeral of Lance Corporal Awal when he was murdered, along with the other
Yes,
police officer.
if you
as
did
well.
a follow-up.
And he said that just this week, 4,500 bulletproof vests have been delivered to the police to help them stem these unfortunate incidents.
Yes, he didn't say that would be delivered, that have been delivered. And I told you that every year we recruit, every year. And this police officer, unfortunately, was even under a year old in practice. Under a year old. And, and that's what makes it sad. So I have said that logistics will keep going, okay? But as we also keep increasing the number, certainly there will always be a drawback. But at the end of the day, we should be able to find these logistics and send. And I know the government has been trying its maximum, best to provide logistics and equipment for the police, other security agencies, to do their work effectively.
The IGP says that the banks should make sure that by the end of this month, they provide bullion vans that are armored. Otherwise, he'll be forced to withdraw his men from protecting the vans.
With the IGP.
How feasible is this?
It's very.
First of all, we don't have the tools for the police, and now we're putting the pressure on the banks, which is rightly so, because, of course, they also are taxed to provide it. But the Bank of Ghana had earlier issued a directive saying that provide or make it available by the end or by the middle of 2023. Now, the IGP says by the end of this month, otherwise we will withdraw our men.
They agreed, to a timeline of June ending 2021. Okay, and we are just getting there. So the IGP renewed the call for what they had agreed on, that provide these or we withdraw our men. Because
when a statement says 2023 from the Bank of Ghana?
I haven't seen the Bank of Ghana. What I know is what the IGP, had agreed, and all the statements I've seen is June 2021 as the deadline for providing these essential vehicles for
you haven't seen this?
The cash in transit money.
But this should have been on your table because you're in the office of the Vice President. You're saying you haven't seen that statement from the Bank of Ghana issuing a directive to the bank saying that by July 2023, they should all have the armored vehicles?
I've seen the end of July 2021.
And not 2023?
Not 2023.
Well,
and they agreed. That, you see, this, I keep saying that today's world, how do we move cash, which attracts, okay? Cash attracts. It's tempting, on our roads. And look, I'm sure when you are driving in traffic, you see these mantra, pickups coming to pass in the middle of the road. People should clear and so on and so forth. I don't think it's sustainable. We have to find a more, if we are going to do it, then it needs to be a properly configured vehicle for it. And it's not the police that should provide that for them. It is the banks that should provide the necessary equipment for their own operations.
I'm surprised you're saying you haven't seen it. I'll bring Doc in at this point, but let me just read a bit of the statement that was released by Bank of Ghana. It was addressed to Mr. Al-Hassan and Danny, who is the executive secretary of the Ghana Association of Bankers, and eventually he came out to the public on the 8th of January 2021, where it says, accordingly, DMBs and SDIs are required to comply with the following. 1. Phase out and replace all soft-skin cash-in-transit vehicles presently in use, fit-for-purpose armored-plated vehicles with European Standard B6 ballistic protection for passenger compartments and European Standard B4 for cargo compartments. And 2, involve Bank of Ghana in the procurement of the armored vehicles to ensure compliance with the requisite specifications. And it says Bank of Ghana further directs that all DMBs and SDIs should comply with the above directive by 1st July 2023, after which Bank of Ghana will not admit any soft-skin CIT vehicle into its premises nationwide. And you're saying you have not come across the statement at all.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it does not change the subject matter that what needs to be done, that these vehicles need to be provided.
Okay, let me bring Doc in to respond to the earlier one concerning the inadequate supply of resources to the Ghana Police Service. And again, that question about whether it's even feasible to ask the banks to provide armored bullion vans by the end of this month. We're just about 2 weeks away.
Well, Bella, I think that we need to broaden this conversation. What we are talking about is just one of many incidents, as far as violent crime is concerned. I think earlier on, in my opening remarks, I made reference to the fact that the only reason why this has gained prominence is how it happened and the unfortunate incident, a young police officer and a bystander becoming victims. But as you said earlier on, you were even citing previous examples, and we can chronicle, even in the national capital alone. Besides what occurred, in Jamestown, we know of what happened at the pig farm runabout, also in broad daylight. In fact, the Forest Bureau, just close to the police headquarters, national headquarters itself, was raided in broad daylight. I mean, there are incidents to report from Kumasi, even my own Bulsa South. This is how pervasive it has become. And so when some of us are saying that it has become pervasive and rampant, we are looking at it because we are now getting reports and recorded incidents from parts of the country that hitherto, we didn't hear some of these occurrences. I mean, Bulsa South, with just a population of about, 51,000, a land size of slightly 1,068 kilometers square. In just 1 month, we have recorded over 11 cases of armed robberies. 11. With weapons. Wow. The chief of the Fumbisi chief, the wife of the Fumbisi chief, only Monday, on her way from a church activity, was accosted by 2 guys at gunpoint, and her motor was taken. So it is a cause for concern. It is a cause for concern. But having said that, I think we have a lot of questions to ask government. Particularly so when the vice president is the chair of the police council.
Police council, yeah.
And so when the chair of the police council, makes pronouncements about the provision of logistics to enhance the work of the police service and police personnel, and we find that those pronouncements have not been given the needed effect, clearly we cannot overlook that. So it's not just the issue of the vest.
The vest, yeah.
But if you remember, there was also the incident that occurred somewhere around the Atomic, where there was a jailbreak and a senior police officer was killed.
Was killed, yes.
You remember in the wake of that, there was also a promise by the vice president that every police station was going to be installed with a CCTV camera. I don't know whether that has also been done. But you see, the cry of the Minister for Interior about the inadequate resources at the disposal of the police is legitimate, it is true. And we ought to do more as a nation and as a government, because if we were to look at the MPP manifesto, both 2016 and 2020, they devote a reasonable number of pages to security and how they were going to make sure that we were better secure so that we can go about our economic activities and, so forth and so forth. But it is not happening. It seems to be the opposite. And what also really, catches the attention of many is that the Akufo-Addo government has appointed the most persons into the security sector of our, establishment. And so you would expect that with that level of appointees in the area of security, we should rather be seeing a reduction rather than an escalation and a much more pervasive system of insecurity across the country. So yes, we can do a lot more to support the police, and we can do that because I think that there are some expenditures that have come up. There are some arrangements that some of us have found to be rather questionable, and if in fact government was to be mindful of channeling some of those resources to support the police service in terms of providing the vest and other logistics that they would need to better protect themselves and also to protect us, I believe that we would all benefit from that.
But the IGP says investigations have been carried out to find out why the police officer who was slain did not have his vest on. Well,
that is their issue. That would also mean that there's a breakdown in the command structure, because if any proper institution and the police service, the way it is structured, it is based on orders. So if a young police officer has failed to dress appropriately, that in itself should alert you to the fact that somebody is either not, on the beat as in dispensing their responsibilities, or the subordinates are not taking seriously the superiors and the instructions that they give.
Especially since it's a requirement, and the Vice President mentioned it, that you cannot go on the field, especially if you're going to also protect banks as well. You must have your vest on.
Exactly.
You must have your helmet on.
Exactly. So, Babdala, the issue of population and crime, I think that is logical, because naturally once the population is growing, you would also expect that the number of deviants, would also be increasing. But even so, we can't just say that because the population is growing, automatically crime will grow. In the advanced countries that we all look up to for, if you like, better examples, they also have growing populations. But we see the systems that they have in place, and the systems work. That is because what they do it transparently. The right people are put at the right places. They are properly paid or remunerated, and they are provided with the right accoutrements. And that, therefore, makes them effective in dealing with crime.
What are not saying that we don't have the right people appointed into the right places?
I am not saying it, but various security aspects have raised complaints about even the current IGP. Some have even suggested that he has outlived his usefulness and that he needs to bow out. Some have argued that there are much more younger senior police officers who can do this job better.
What do you say? What do you think about the IGP?
Honestly, if you ask me, I don't think that he merits the extended contract, because quite clearly, as I sit here, I have complained about the increase in criminal activity in my own constituency. And I tell you, for a population of over 51,000, Buta South, we only have 7 police officers. 7. Now, if you do the ratio and the maths, by the UN standard, which says that 1 police officer to 500. That is 1 police officer to over 7,000 people. And that is Buta South. No vehicle. Look, the system is not just about retooling. We need a full overhaul. We need leadership that has vision, not just the talk and pomp and pageantry. We need action. Because, look, Ghanaians are beginning to become very desperate. The sense of fear. People are not free. It's not just in the urban areas, in the cities anymore. Can you imagine a place like Buta South, where these are people who engage in agriculture for survival? People are even scared to go to the farm. Women cannot go to the market. People can't even go to church. So we are dealing with a very serious issue that I think that we need some new ideas from new people. The status
New
quo.
ideas from new people.
Oh, yes. And it's not just going to be just, dealing with the police. Eventually, there has to be a change to bring new people into the system, to bring new ideas, and to do what is right.
So this is not about his age necessarily and the fact that he's gone past retirement age, but more about his inability to bring change?
But is it not obvious? I mean, there were some progressive things that were being done in the past. For example, the police visibility program. Why has it been abandoned, for example? Why has it been abandoned?
So if he was over 60 and he was performing, that wouldn't be a problem?
Yeah, but when you
because
are,
we've been complaining about putting people who are above
when
retirement age.
You have gone on retirement and you've been given a contract, and yet we are not seeing the benefit. Then what is the point of keeping
So what's
him
your
there?
point then? If he's above retirement age and he's performing, it's fine? Or should
That
we
can
have
be-
a policy that
can
says
be-
that once
that
you're
can be-
above
that can be
retirement,
a
you
justification
cannot?
if he was performing, but he's not.
Okay.
And I'm not saying the security experts are saying it.
Okay.
And I know we talk about recruitment. You see, the issue of recruitment, fair and good, we need to augment the numbers. But the processes of recruiting in itself is a problem. You know, we are not to politicize this matter. But as a minority, severally, we have raised the issue of how recruitments into the police service and other security agencies have been done secretly, where we have not seen these, recruitment programs being advertised, as was the case. Before you know, some recruitments have been done, young police officers are being commissioned, and so all of this, it is very murky.
Interior Minister says that's not true.
We have filed questions in Parliament. We have even filed a private member's motion
He
on
says
this
it's not
matter.
true.
But you
And
and
that
I
they
know
have
it
been
is
transparent.
true. When was the last time that you saw an advertisement in any of the national dailies? At least in the last 3 years. Advertising recruitment to the Ghana Police Service. I mean, we can cross-check these things. So, I don't want to be moved away from the core issue, but we are dealing with a gamut of challenges in, the security architecture of this country, in the ability of the state to protect the citizens and to provide the conducive environment that would allow citizens to feel safe so that they can go about their day-to-day activities. And what is happening is actually very discouraging, because even if police officers are becoming targets, then where else do we go?
Well, I mean, speaking of which, we've just gotten some breaking news from the Ashanti region. William Evans Inkum has just sent us these details. He says that there's another bloody robbery attack at Manso Musikrom. The community is one of the mining areas in the Mansie South district, and some residents have sustained gunshot wounds. There's no confirmation of deaths at the moment. He's still following up for more updates. That's from the Ashanti region, another robbery attack at Manso Musikrom, and William Evans Inkum will be giving us more details as he gets them. But back to you, Salam, and the issue of the IGP and whether he should go. There have been calls. Security experts are saying it's time for him to actually go, because he is not providing the results for which he was appointed and had his contract renewed. What do you say?
I completely disagree. And before I come to that, let me do some small rebuttals. I think that Honorable Apark has overdoubled in politics. It is not true that there have been secret recruitments into police. You see, when recruitments typically are going to happen, you go and buy forms. And these forms, people cannot be called that go and buy forms. They are here. So it is not true. And some of these, untruths that we peddle, around is not helpful.
But what's the requirement? That it has to be published in the papers?
Yes.
Recently, we saw one of the army being published.
Yes. It's
when was the
published.
last
So
time
it's
the
not
Ghana
true.
Police Service
I
published?
think about 2 years ago.
Why
I think
so?
we started, and COVID came. So the process was put on hold. This is what I know. When COVID came, it was put on hold.
So there was no recruitment at all, clandestinely?
I think, you see, when a process was started, and they were just about going for training, when COVID came, when we announced the lockdown. So when the restrictions were relaxed, because the process was started already, they decided to now train them in badges. And that's what was misconstrued. And I'm baffled. I'm surprised that, in fact, perplexed completely that it will be termed as secret recruitment. It was not. You have to buy the form. And the forms cannot be sold in somebody's bedroom.
Yeah, but if you don't publish it, how do I know if I'm
so
I have
those
interest
who want them, but
in
how did they
joining
know?
the Ghana Police Service? How
Those
did they
who
know?
want
And
them,
that's
how
the
did they
question we
know?
should be asking you.
Nobody
because
was
does it
called
mean
to
that
go
it was
because
done
public.
clandestinely because
No,
maybe those people
not
had access to people
clandestinely.
in government?
How so?
We're told that this young man who died, the constable,
Yes.
he, according to his sister, he was barely a year old in the Ghana Police Service.
But that's what I've just
so how did he
explained
get
to you.
in?
That's what I just explained to you. That when COVID came, the process that was started, okay, they now decided to put them in groups and go and train. So it's not surprising at all. And I'm sure Honorable would concede that this is true.
What about those who are put on the waiting list for so long and then for some reason they are told that, well, the process is done?
Like I said, I think they are doing some of these things in Bali. Because of COVID, you cannot bring about 300, 400, 1,000 people at a go to train them. So mostly, I know
we're
they
organizing
have tried to
funerals where thousands of people are gathering. The president was in attendance. The vice president was in attendance. How do we still use COVID as an excuse? Salam.
And look.
How do we use COVID as an
also,
excuse? We've been using COVID as an excuse for many things, but then when it matters the most,
honestly,
we see government officials gather.
To the police.
No, but you work in the office of the vice president. You should be able to tell us.
The information that I am giving you. When COVID came, this was what they decided to do.
So at that point, it was convenient because of COVID?
That's what they decided to do.
But then there's a funeral and then we have government officials gathering?
Of course, we are beginning to, we have total control of COVID now. Absolute control of COVID.
Do we?
Yes.
We don't even have vaccines.
And you are running around.
We don't even have
paying
the vaccines.
exorbitant prices.
But look at the number
doing
of
deals
COVID.
with
Well, we have brought it.
questionable characters.
It's under control. We have managed COVID in this country far better than even America, Britain, and the
We've
most
been
powerful
told to be
countries.
careful because there could be a third wave. See what happened in India.
It can be, yes. There can be. There was second wave, and most countries got hit. So we all have to be careful. We are wearing, nose mask here. I've taken the 2 jabs, but I'm still wearing a nose mask.
The people at the funeral, how many of them were wearing their masks?
Okay. Yes. So, Bella, I think also that it is not true that police visibility has been abandoned by this IGP. It is absolutely not true. Every night when I'm going home, I fall in not less than 4, police checkpoints.
You misunderstand the concept of police visibility.
They are there.
It is not
During
that
daytime, you see them patrolling. In my area, I see them in the night, sometimes passing and all that. So it cannot be true that visibility has been abandoned. Let's not be, exceedingly dishonest for political expediency. When we do that, we don't help in the building of the state. And we are all stakeholders as far as building Mother Ghana is concerned. Also, there is no single government in the history of Ghana that has retooled the Ghana Police Service like the Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. There's no single government. And you can check it. Go to the police and prove records and you will see it.
But
thousands of
officers
vehicles.
are still dying.
Thousands of vehicles. Yes, that's true, unfortunately. Look, he talks about crime and how they have become rampant and, brazen and so on and so forth. Bella, we're in this country when an MP was killed in this country. Okay, let's not be too dishonest. You see, a life has been lost. We don't want to be very political.
An MP
on
dying,
the matter.
a journalist who was killed.
Yes, journalists were killed under NDC.
It won't end.
And we were promised
Journalists were killed
drones
under
and
NDC.
helicopters by Interior Minister Ambrizeri.
Yes, all of these things come into the security architecture. And I said, you see, security has to go, change as we develop. So we have to add a lot of technology to it. The helicopters and so on and so forth.
Where are those? We were told that they will be provided.
I'm sure they are working on the processes to do so. I know that this was announced, and I'm sure certainly work would be done on it, and these things brought.
Okay, but is it feasible to provide armored bullion vans in the next 2 weeks, as is being asked by the IGP?
Bella, it is a responsibility for myself and you. It's a responsibility for us to ensure that we support the IGP to push the banks to do so.
But how long does it take to order and ship?
It is the banks.
Yeah, but
it's
then
their money.
Saying...
You see, first of all, the banks should take responsibility for it. It is their money that is being cutted, and they don't lose because they are insured. So they have to provide it.
But even when we're
it is our
shipping cars
responsibility
into
to
this
show.
country, how long does it take to even ship cars into the country? And these are regular cars, and we're talking about armored bullion vans. We expect that in the next 2 weeks, these banks would have them.
In 2016, there was an attack on these so-called bullion, vehicles. In the same manner.
2019 as well.
Yes.
We can go on
So
and
that's
on.
what I'm saying, that it has become an imperative that we don't have the laxity of time, and that they must provide these things. And we should do so. Okay. The media and everybody should support the IGP in making sure that the banks provide these things as soon as possible.
All right, Doc, let me bring you in. I mean...
I think that in as much as we all agree that the vehicles that are being used to cut monies don't meet acceptable standards and therefore are prone to these attacks, we must also be realistic, as you have said, in the timeline that is being given the banks. I honestly don't think it is realistic. I mean, yes, it is good that we are all emotional. There is outrage. And of course, the IGP that many think has demonstrated gross incompetence, who ought to go, should not latch onto this, as a straw to survive. It is not just about the directive that the banks ought to make sure that they provide proper bullion vans within the time frame. Look, if his directive were to be given effect, in fact, we are actually then opening up the system for more criminal activity. Because now you are saying that the banks should move their money in these rickety, vehicles without any protection. Even with the protection, they were attacking. So you can now imagine what is going to happen. And the chaos that can create.
But is he not protecting his men? Because how many of his men have to be sacrificed?
Very well. I mean, there are other things that he should also be doing to protect them. We have talked about the helmets. How well has he pushed? The vest. I have not seen a document from the Defense and Interior Committee indicating that the IGP has been very forceful in pushing for more. And what have you? So, yes, this has happened. It is bad. But we shouldn't make an already bad situation worse, is what I'm trying to say. Because now if you deny the banks police escorts, then the criminals are going to have a field day, so to speak.
We spent a lot of money on the Accra Intelligent Traffic Management Project. That also came with its own controversy from when it was moved from one Chinese company to the other. And that's a conversation for another day. But we spent a lot of money. We even had to pay judgment debt or so on it. And so now we're being told that there's a gentleman in the area whose CCTV camera captured the incident of the robbery attack. And he's being asked to provide his footage. And he says no. And now government is asking, but we've been told that there were going to be the installation of CCTV cameras across our streets and highways so that they can control traffic and also record certain incidents like this one so that the police can follow up and get all the information that they need. And now we're being told that we're rather asking an individual for his CCTV footage. Well,
and that is another issue that I believe ought to concern Ghanaians, because as you rightly said, there was no need, as far as some of us are concerned, there was no justification to have taken away that assignment from the original Chinese company, which I know had the requisite technical and financial capacity to execute the job and give it to this current one. And here we are, there's a stalemate. And who is suffering? We the people. And indeed, I think that the citizen should, at least in the public interest, share that footage with security officials. But he could have good reason for being worried. Perhaps he's afraid of reprisal attacks by the criminals or the associates. And that could be the reason why he's adamant in making it available. Because I don't think that if he had nothing to fear, he will be worried. But you raise a very important point. If only the public CCTVs were available, quite clearly we wouldn't have to be relying on an individual, a private citizen, to make available the video footage that can help us to bring these criminals to justice. So those are questions that we need to ask government. I mean, what is the holdup? Judgment that has been paid. Then let the project roll out. What are we waiting for? And clearly this is a waste of national resources. You go, you arrange, you bring in a contractor, somebody comes in, they replace the contractor, judgment debt, it is paid, and yet we are not still seeing the implementation of the project. Is that not causing financial loss to the state? So I think this is another area where we need to probe further and to find out exactly what is going on and who is responsible.
Salam, what do you say to this? Because the former AMA boss says that these CCTV cameras are not working. And he said this prior to us hearing that the man in that community had been asked to provide his footage, when we know that along most of our streets, we should have these CCTV cameras. Have they been installed? And if they have, are they working?
But I'm surprised at Honorable Apak. I don't think he's been very, he's been honest at all. I'm sure you know.
You see, I take exception to that. I've been chronicling. No. It's not right. You should no. I don't appreciate that. This is the third time.
No.
Almost every point I've made, he has sought to call me dishonest, which is not the case.
Not true.
The issue of secret recruitment, we know it is happening. We have filed a question in Parliament.
Okay.
Anytime I make a point, you rebut. Don't call me dishonest. I am presenting the issues and the facts as I know them. If you have contrary.
Can I talk? You
all
see,
right. If we could use, he says he does not want to be called dishonest. So if we
you can't do that. You can't question my integrity.
It is not true.
You have the right to disagree with me, but you don't have the right to question my integrity.
If you go all the way to Upper East, and I'm sure you know that.
You can't do
I'm
that.
sure you know
we're taking that back.
That when you go to the Upper East, you see these cameras there. In the northern region, they are there.
Are they working?
They are working. In 2014 or so, or 2015, one of them, I'll try and pull it out. The president then, John Dramani Mahama, which you were an official of that government, launched the National Command Center at National Security. And some of these things were already live. So how do you say today that they are not working? That's why I said it is not true.
If they are working, give us the footage.
Go to national. You are a journalist of a repute and a very big media house, TV3.
Bella,
ask national security whether these things are working or not.
Complicated.
But let me tell you something.
Doc, please hold on. Let him land.
Please hold on.
I
didn't interject you when you
were speaking. He did not interrupt. Please allow him to speak.
And I did so for very good reasons. One, it depends on where the crime was perpetuated and where the camera is situated. Because if the camera is at maybe the TV3, the coming here, the traffic lights there, if it is hoisted there and the crime happened here, it will be difficult for the camera to capture. Now, I'm also aware that a number of amateur videos were captured with mobile phones, some of which is with the police. So I'm surprised that maybe if one person has refused to give the video or so, is news or I don't know.
Should it not be because the Interior Minister himself admitted to it?
Yes, but I also know that they have a number of videos that they got from other sources. So it is not like these things are not working and money has been spent profligately, and we know this politics we do. When we do that, we don't enrich the discussion. Where there are problems, they admit that there are problems. But where something is working, then you pretend that it is not working. Then it doesn't help the cause. Okay, it doesn't help the cause. I know that. Look, you go to these security people. They are able to scan through the country and know some of the things going on. From Accra here all the way to Bolgatanga, they're able to see. They monitor. So it is not as if money was spent for no good reason, and that these things are not working. They are white elephant. They are not. Most of the cameras are working. There was one, and to give you a very good evidence of this thing working. Recently, one of your sister stations launched a documentary on accidents, and most of it was sourced from the national security cameras. So are they working or not?
Are they working everywhere? Is the question we're asking. They are.
Okay. You see, they are. It's a system. Okay. As they build, then they connect. As they come and hoist it, then they connect. You know, and these things are working.
Okay. Let's quickly move on to another issue that is also of great concern, which was followed, a question that was filed by MP Okujeto Ablakwa with regards to the president's travels to France, to Belgium, and of course to South Africa, where it said that he chartered a luxurious flight at the cost of £15,000 an hour. We've heard what the defense minister has to say, and he says that it was more of the security of the president as against cost. And then there was also another statement that he made that in most cases, we need the president to be able to shower, because if we're going with the, the country's jets, then it makes, that's what I'm saying. He didn't say President Akufo-Addo, but I listened to him carefully yesterday as well, and he spoke. And he said that in some cases, I mean, if it's a 6-hour flight and you're on some of these flights, how do you shower before you walk into a meeting? And so he made those statements, and he gave reasons why, the president and his team decided to fly that private jet. What do you say to this? And really, if we're looking at even the police being inadequately resourced, there's so many other issues in the country. Was it really prudent to have spent that amount of money, over 2.8 million Ghana cedis, on that flight?
So, it is not peculiar to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to use a private jet. President John Dramani Mahama also did so, and I'm sure for good reasons. If John Dramani Mahama used private jet for good reasons, the same good reasons apply to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Now, the reasons the defense minister gave, and the twisting is what is sensational.
What twisting exactly?
That he cannot take a shower. He said that for the many reasons, sometimes you want assuming the president is going to do a return trip, he needs to have a place that he can refreshen up, walk into his meeting, finish, come back, and he's gone. And the current presidential, jet doesn't have that. So, we like it or not, if the president is traveling somewhere, you would have to fly him there, make sure that he gets a place, to go and freshen up before he walks to a meeting. Whereas that additional cost could have been cut out if he had those facilities available to him on a jet, where he can freshen up, walk into his meeting, finish, take his plane, and back. Okay. Then he raises the issue of restrictions of COVID and it-related matters. Not every country is opened. Today, the way flights used to operate are completely different today. So if he was going to do multiple cities, and I'm sure you have traveled across the world and you know how these multiple cities work.
Not in a luxurious private jet, no.
In fact, the pictures they even brought of the so-called luxurious plane was false.
How is it false when it is actually on the website of Acropolis Aviation? And that's what they were using to advertise this new ACJ
somebody's private plane,
Neo. And you are saying
somebody's
it's false?
private plane, and came and made it look as wholly true, which was false.
So that means that the company is also lying with regards to photos that they put on their website?
With the president in the plane, and he took the pictures and gave out. Okay? Was he there? He wasn't there. And Bella.
Wait, I find this hard to believe that you're saying that the photos that we're seeing on the website are false.
The plane that he showed was that of a Nigerian preacher.
How is that so? I mean, we saw the website, and he told
and
us
people have brought those
website.
pictures and challenged him. It's on social media and challenged him.
Wait, the ACJ, what, 320 Neo?
It is not to say that there was no private jet, but to say that that is the flashy and all the stuff that he sought to portray, and the sensational matter is what people took onto social media to challenge. Okay, that what we have put out is not the actual plane that you refer to, but this particular one is from this particular person. It's not to say that, oh, I did not take a private jet. And it has been explained why he did so. I was doing multiple cities, moving from France, Belgium, and so on, and back to Ghana. So we needed to do this.
But the Falcon is working.
The Falcon is working. Now, I don't know if you're aware, sometime 2018, the Falcon developed a serious problem.
Yeah.
When the president, used it to fly all the way to the United States. So the long nature of these travels also have some effects on aircrafts. And I don't know if we want to wait till disaster strikes before we now say, oh, then why didn't you do this? Why didn't you take this option? At that time, the disaster would have happened already. I mean, sometimes, look, when John Dramani Mahama was using private jets, we didn't make all this hue and cry.
Was it 15,000 pounds an hour?
We understood.
Did we spend 2.8 million Ghana cedis on a flight to
but
3
President
countries?
John Dramani Mahama didn't take it for free. He paid.
Yes, he paid, but I'm asking, that was it 15,000 pounds an hour? At the expense of the
I don't know how
taxpayer?
much this one cost. Whether I've seen some quoting in dollars, some quoting in pounds, some quoting in euros. There is no definite, and that's this country.
But if you, I mean, the website has, a page where you can actually,
you see, it's true.
request
but
for all
don't
those
also forget
details.
that sometimes negotiations are done, and sometimes price variations, occur, especially depending on how long you are going to use it, where you are going, and so on and so forth. If I'm going to America, I won't pay as much as I'm going to London.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me bring Doc in, because there were issues of capacity that were raised by the defense minister, which was why they went for
it hasn't
the
worked.
ACJ 320
hasn't worked. I was in Parliament yesterday, and I mean, it was obvious that the minister tried very hard to convince Ghanaians otherwise, but nobody is convinced. All the reasons that he sought to use to justify clearly would not stand serious scrutiny. First of all, the issue of whether he couldn't have gotten a jet for less. He couldn't explain. They couldn't explain that. Well, we all know that even the same company has a series of them. But this one that was selected was the most expensive. The minister spoke about the president having to travel with his office. And then you ask yourself, how many people can the jet take? And if you look at the numbers, clearly that cannot be something that can take substantially more people than the original jet.
It says between 19 to 20.
Yeah.
As against 15 plus crew
Exactly.
on
I mean,
the Falcon.
he talked about the president's office, and I've worked at the office of the president. I know what the president's office is. And the minister himself even said it included security. So I was even hoping to ask the minister to tell us the exact number of persons who travel with the president. I didn't get that opportunity. And this issue of freshening up. I mean, look, let's face it. Government and government officials can try to explain this away as much as possible. But Ghanaians are aware, especially in these times where everybody's tightening their belts, where we have competing and, in fact, much more important challenges like retooling our police. The president can travel for 23 hours and spend 2.8 million Ghana cedis, and that is okay.
It was security. I mean, it was one of the major reasons, which is what the defense minister said, the security of the president.
Any of the other jets that were available from this same company, which cost less, would not have provided the security for the president.
If we had agreed, I mean, the NDC, because I remember that before former President Kufuor left office, he ordered, for the private jets, and also indicated that it was a request by the Ghana Air Force to have a bigger jet that could be used to transport people around.
I agree with
but
all of that.
But the defense minister says that the NDC came into power, and we also
That
what
is
happened.
all post factum.
And cancelled the buying of the big one as well.
Bella, that is all post.
And so those are reasons why maybe at this point.
But that still does not justify this display of opulence. I mean, this was like an Arabian sheikh. It was like an Arabian sheikh, from an oil-rich country.
The same as John
Everybody saw it. And you see, you can dismiss as much as you want. We are dealing with a professional company which advertises its services and its products. And what is there is what you get. They are not like here in Ghana where people say one thing and get the other. You go to buy an iPhone at Circle and then you get home and it's a piece of soap. No, they don't do that. So the pictures are real, and that is the truth.
Could we have avoided all this if we had gone ahead to purchase the DBJ?
Maybe not. Maybe you would have bought that and you would have still gone for a much more expensive one because he had options and he chose to go for the most expensive. It is about his taste. And that is what he has started to do.
Well, the defense minister says it wasn't really about that, and he says that this is not even the most luxurious, and so we shouldn't be making statements like it is the most luxurious.
Well,
it was more security-wise and also capacity, because the Falcon could not carry the number of people the president wanted to travel with.
He has worked in the presidency.
Final
before.
words.
He knows that the Falcon 900 on international trips cannot carry more than 13 people. You know that. That's plus crew. You know that.
So how many people went on this trip with the president?
I can't say for sure.
But yeah, it is
why can't you say? Because we need to know that.
This was a business trip.
Who were part of that delegation?
When some of these delegations
were less, then what is the
involve CEOs, other people that, because it's a business trip.
I agree. So how many were there?
Yes.
So we rented this jet, very expensive,
yes,
to go and secure some money to start a bank and to also go and beg for our debts to be forgiven?
Let me tell you something. President, may he so rest in peace.
Final words, please, so we go. My director is counting me down.
When he put John Dramani Mahama to chair a committee to buy a new presidential jet, at the end of the day, we were told that John Dramani Mahama was subjected to investigations. Alleged corruption.
But does it justify for any reason? Are we trying to
equalize now? You appointed that person as a special prosecutor, and he has described the president as the man corruption.
Does it justify? Renting a private jet for 15,000 pounds an hour?
The corruption are the most He says Akufo-Addo is the
our time is up. I have to go, gentlemen. I have to go. But quick one. So a quick message. So because of Bath, we spent almost 120,000 per hour on President Akufo-Addo's travel to France. Does that mean our president's bath every 2 hours? Well, that's from Prince Henry Koforidua. Good morning to Dr. Sarkodie of University of Ghana as well, and to everybody else. Robert, who's also sending messages. I'm sorry I cannot read them all. My time is far gone and we have to wrap up. This morning I've been speaking to Dr. Clement Apak. He's the MP for Bulsa South constituency and also the deputy ranking member of the Education Committee in Parliament. And also I have been speaking to Salam Mustafa. He's the director of programs at the office of the Vice President. Good morning to Nana Yao. I've seen your message as well. Quite long, I can't read, I'm sorry. But we'll have more of these topics later on the show. It's Friday, and so look forward to Heart Bay. Oh, today is Thursday. Why do I think today is Friday? I'm in a hurry. Oh, it's Thursday. We have more coming up. I know. I'm tired.